All right, guys, back with another one of the Sunday morning games, one of the last ones we got. And this one was the Panthers going to Miami to play the Dolphins and get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny because initially the Panthers were up 14-0, and it was like, oh, what is going on in Miami? They're unable to move the ball. And of course, the Dolphins woke up and ended up putting 42 on the Panthers' head.
Yeah.
Seven of those points from the Panthers came from a Mike White pick six, just so that is known. The Dolphins.
Poor Mike
the
White,
Dolphins,
man. What?
I know, man. He goes in, throws one pass, it's a touchdown for the other team.
Yeah.
The Dolphins almost hit the over by themselves. It was at 47.5 and they scored 42. So that was pretty impressive. They obviously covered the 14-point spread. And I mean, Bryce Young, he didn't look terrible in this one. I think a lot of his problem, he stands there with the ball in his hand a little bit too long, like a statue.
Yeah.
Doesn't do much running or moving around, and he takes a lot of pretty bad sacks. But he was 23 for 38, 217 yards and a touchdown that went to who other than Adam Thielen. Man,
He's him.
this guy, we slept on him, and he's making us pay for it. It's pretty crazy. The guy went 11 for 13 for 115 and a touchdown, gave you 28.5 PPR points. Adam Thielen's killing it right now. I mean, if they don't end up trading for another wide receiver, Adam Thielen is so very obviously in every week start.
The wide receiver one, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's getting the targets he's getting are just out of this world. I mean, damn, there's not much you could say about it. It's just great if you have him. Horrible if you're playing against him.
Yeah.
DJ Chark, he played 67% of the snaps in this one, 46 snaps. He caught 3 of 6 passes for 26 yards, gave you a measly 5.6 PPR points. I only bring him up because him and Jonathan Mingo were kind of the other two guys that we were looking at. As I said, Terrace Marshall would eventually go back into his disappearing act, which he did. He didn't even play 50% of the snaps. The thing that I think to take away from this, outside of the Adam Thielen performance and obvious dominance of this wide receiver room, is that Jonathan Mingo played 93% of the snaps.
Yep.
And just being a rookie, you know, I think he has a chance to build some rapport with Bryce Young. Being that they don't score too much, and I mean, Mingo only got 3 targets, caught 2 for 21 yards, finished with 4.1 PPR points. As far as the finish, you weren't very happy with it, but I just like the fact that he's a rookie. He's on the field more than 90% of the time.
Yeah.
If he's going to be on the field that much, I think he's a solid wide receiver too. And if Bryce Young continues to improve and get a little better, I think that, you know, I mean, Mingo might be worth a roster spot. Not really thinking about starting him anytime soon, especially they're going on bye this week. So Chuba Hubbard, going from the wide receiver room to the running backs, had a very good game. He was 19 for 88, got a touchdown, caught 1 pass for 2 yards, which was kind of odd because Chuba Hubbard is the guy who's usually the pass catcher. And I was thinking he'd catch a few more passes, but he was extremely efficient on the ground and ended up with a touchdown. He got 16 PPR points, played 77% of the snaps, got spelled a little bit by Blackshear. I think this makes it very tough.
Yeah.
Because coming out of the bye, I think Miles Sanders might be ready to go in week 8. But Chuba Hubbard has been more efficient and more effective than Miles Sanders has been. But they also paid Miles Sanders to come to Carolina. So I don't know how this is going to work out as far as the snaps post week 7 bye. It's something to kind of watch. Not that I was very interested in this running back room in the first place, but, you know, if Chuba can get it done and he's going to be on the field, then I do like him because we've seen Miles Sanders he hasn't done much this year and he's been hurt. So we'll see, but like I said, it just makes it hard because they paid the guy, and as we've seen with You could go down the line. Most recently with Ezekiel Elliott on the Cowboys, while they had Tony Pollard, who was wildly more efficient, they still, will continue to hand the ball off to the guy who they paid money to.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's hard. It's something to monitor, but that's really all I got. Oh, man, Hayden Hurst is dust.
Yeah.
I guess I mentioned that.
Yeah, no,
He's
I only
outperformed by Tommy Tremble.
Yeah, I mean that's not even worth discussing.
No.
But something that kind of fooled us all was Miles Sanders, right? He had a really good season last season. Carolina pays him. Everyone's thinking, wow, like he's going to be the guy. I feel like, and myself included, we failed to think about he was running behind the Philadelphia offensive line with Jalen Hurts and all those weapons. He is now in Carolina. Their offensive line is nowhere near what the Philadelphia Eagles were. Chuba Hubbard has spent his whole career there. So the highs and lows we've seen of Chuba are consistent with what we can expect this season. Miles Sanders, we came in thinking, oh, he's going to do all these things. But when you're running behind a crazy top offensive line in the league, it's a bit easier to do well. So we've seen him struggle. And I like Chuba for sure as a roster spot. If Miles Sanders misses with Chuba's receiving upside, I like him as a plug-and-play guy. Only other thing, I did not think Adam Thielen would be the NFL's Benjamin Button. He's playing like he's 25 out there. Like, I don't know how his age went in reverse, but it has. And I mean,
yeah,
that's all I got for him.
I mean, to go back to what you said about Miles Sanders from the Eagles to the Panthers, the one thing that made it hard about that process and deciding what to do and where to draft Miles Sanders was we did see Deontay Foreman have large success.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just gave me hope that, okay, I mean, in my opinion, I thought Miles Sanders was a better running back than Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought he'll go there and have some success. It's been hard for him to stay on the field. He's had multiple injuries in different places. He's not really the best pass catcher. So things are just really working against him.
Yeah.
Going over to the Dolphins side of the ball.
We know what they are.
Thing, different week.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa. Just why would you bench him? Why would you not have him playing?
Mm-hmm.
No reason not to. It's so clear and obvious at this point. The only thing that happens to hurt him is when Raheem Mostert gets 2 touchdowns on the ground. And oh, by the way, Tua still finishes with 22.5 fantasy points. Dude, through 31 times, completed 21 of his passes for 262 and 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Had a fumble, which, brought his points down a little bit. Would have finished. What did Jalen Hurts finish? What was his?
That's what I was pulling up right now. 1 second. Tua finished second with 22.5. Jalen had 22.9.
Yeah,
Tua would have been
without that fumble, but you
still take it
away. Yeah, and it's like you take away any. Obviously, it's going to be something different, but
yeah.
It doesn't. That regardless, the Panthers have not necessarily been a team that people have been too successful passing on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been mostly run. And the Dolphins are just good enough that they don't really give a damn what you're good at or bad at. They're going to do what they want.
Yep.
And Raheem Mostert, 17 attempts, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 17 yards, and another touchdown, giving him 34.2 PPR points.
Yeah.
RB1 on the week. I mean, there's not really too much to say. We saw Devon Achane go down. We saw Jeff Wilson be marked out for this game. I said the only guy who would take away any carries was Salvon Ahmed, and he only got 6.
Yeah.
But he got 23 yards on a touchdown, 3 catches for 11 yards. Ahmed still finished with 12.4 PPR points. I mean, to me, this says
scored Joe Mixon. I mean, like, what are we talking about, man?
Wow.
What are we doing?
So at this point, guys, I guess we know whoever the hell is the RB2 for the Dolphins on that given week is probably better than a lot of teams' RB1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think really when we see Jeff Wilson come back next, he should be coming back this next week. I think Jeff Wilson is going to take that role right away from Salvon Ahmed. The I don't think I don't think it really matters if he's going to take too much away from Raheem because and Mostert only played 61% of snaps, and that just goes to show whenever he's out there, he's going to eat.
Oh yeah.
Whoever else is out there is going to eat. We've seen last year we saw the Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert show. They go back to back. Whoever I think it's at an even higher level this year.
Yeah.
And when Jeff Wilson comes back, if he is available in your league, I think he's definitely somebody I'd rather roster than even like Tyjae Spears.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough when Devon Achane gets back because you got 3 capable running backs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike McDaniel himself has said they are very willing to give carries to all 3. Now, whether this will mean that you have 3 viable running backs or it's going to be hard to pick and choose which one each week is the guy, I don't know yet. Something we're going to have to find out. But as long as Achane is out, I definitely like Jeff Wilson, just seeing what Salvon did this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into the wide receivers, what is there to say? I mean, Tyreek Hill, have a day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Have a career, man. I mean, what? You can't stop this guy.
Yeah.
He only played 57% of snaps, finished 6 catches on 10 targets for 163 and a touchdown. Of course, Tyreek he's running so damn fast, he hurts himself, still comes back in the game and performs. I mean, it's Tyreek Hill. What is there to say? 28.3 PPR points. Man went off. Still, funnily enough, outscored by Adam Thielen by 0.2. But hey, what can you do against the god Adam Thielen?
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, he played 69% of the snaps, and he is. I think last year it was kind of it's a Reek week. Oh, it's a Waddle week. Oh, every week is a Tyreek week. And I don't think it's necessarily Waddle getting the leftovers, but I think Tyreek is far and away asserted as the number 1 guy. It's not much of a 1A, 1B in my opinion, at least this year. Waddle has been hurt, so he hasn't necessarily been on the field each and every game, which he could still be kind of ramping back up into his role. But as far as what I've seen right now, obviously, Jalen Waddle is still like every week wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
But he's not any longer in that fringe wide receiver 1 category, in my opinion, just due to the fact that he's still 7 catches on 9 targets for 51 yards and a touchdown. But it's just that yards after catch ability that Tyreek has is just second to absolutely none. And when they get him the ball in space, he just makes magic happen. That, like I said, saying that does not mean that I like Waddle any less. I just think it's a lot more certain now that it's not a 1A, 1B type thing. You're not going to have a lot of weeks where Jalen Waddle's outscoring Tyreek Hill. And as far as, like I said last week, you would like to think that a tight end in the Dolphins offense would be viable. He is not. Durham Smythe got 1 target.
Yeah.
We can move on from that.
Yeah, I honestly don't have much. The only thing I think what's hurting Waddle the most is the mass success of the Dolphins' run game. They're able to run the ball so capably this season. Of course, Tyreek's going to get his lion's share. But last season, Mostert and Wilson were serviceable, but nowhere near this. So they were passing the ball a lot more opportunity for Jalen Waddle. When you can give it to the running back and he can get you 30, 40 yards through the air, it just eats into him a little bit. So, I mean, that may not be the case, but at least from what I've seen, it kind of seems that way. They're more successful on the ground, and it's hurt Waddle.
I mean, as we know, when you run the ball more, it eats up clock. So it went from the Miami Dolphins being a super pass happy offense to holy shit, the Dolphins are the best running team in the league.
Best offense in the league. They're just insane.
It's a big change, but it's something that I think we're going to have to stay accustomed to because they're doing it well. This is Mike McDaniel coming from the Kyle Shanahan tree, who happens to excel at running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And man, yeah, I think Waddle's going to be productive. Waddle, like I said, every week wide receiver too. But yeah, like you said, this emergence of the Dolphins running game is definitely hurting his fantasy outlook.
Yeah.
And with that being said, that's all I got for that one, guys. On to the next one. This will be our last morning game. And every time we say thank you again and again for all the support. Any questions, any comments you guys may have, leave them below. We will get to those and we'll be back.
Yes, sir.